Are you stuck at the intermediate level and no matter what you do, you just can't seem to break through to fluency? I get it. I've been there. I currently speak 2 languages at the C2 level, English and French, and in this video I'm going to share with you exactly what helped me to get from intermediate to advanced. So I'm gonna share my best tips, tricks, and what not to do as well. So if you are interested in that, make sure to keep on watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And now let's get started. If you are at the B1 or B2 level, especially B2, I want to tell you something important. You don't need more flashcards. You don't need to memorize any more vocab lists. You don't need to learn any more grammar rules. Chances are that if you've been studying your target language for some time, then you have already covered every single grammar structure there is at least once or twice. So you really don't need them. What you need is actually something else. The real problem isn't your knowledge, it's how you're trying to use it. This is the biggest mindset shift that I had to make when I was learning English and French. I had to stop treating them as separate parts of my life. I had to start living those languages in order to become fluent. Because the thing is, you cannot memorize your way to fluency. You have to live your way into it. And that means surrounding yourself with your target language. And I mean with the real language, not only materials that are meant for language learners. Surround yourself with things that are designed for native speakers. And don't do it once or twice a week. Do it daily. And the best part about it is that you won't even notice when the shift starts to happen. You will just automatically stop translating everything in your head. You will start understanding more. You will pick up new vocab, pick up grammar in context, and everything will just seem more natural to you. I remember when I was at school and my teacher would ask me, well, why did you use that tense instead of the other one? I remember thinking I don't know, because it sounded right. And that was because I was surrounding myself with English every single day after school. So yeah, everything seemed so natural to me and I didn't need grammar rules anymore in order to be able to speak correctly. Okay, so I want to tell you a story that changed everything for me. I was around 13 or 14 at the time and I was learning English at school. But you know how it is when you learn languages at school, right? You just do boring grammar exercises and you memorize vocab lists, but you cannot actually speak. Because I was a teenager, the only thing that I wanted to do was scroll on my phone. I mean, scrolling was not a thing. I wanted to watch YouTube videos. And my mom obviously was very against that, as any parent would be probably. So she gave me an ultimatum. She said, you can either watch everything in English or you give me your phone and you do something else. So I was like, okay, no, that would be like the worst thing ever, to give you my phone. So that's how I started watching every single thing in English. And that ultimatum literally changed my life. This is the reason that I speak English today. So at the beginning it was really difficult and I didn't really understand anything, but because I was so determined to keep watching YouTube, I just stuck with it. I don't know what the science is behind this, but it works like magic. With time, I started recognizing new words, understanding more and more, and then I realized, wait, I actually understand everything. And I was like, how did that even happen? And that's the power of input. When you expose your brain to real spoken language, that's when the magic starts to happen. And here's the thing, don't force yourself to watch something that's not interesting for you. A lot of people say that you should start with kids shows, and personally I kind of hate that advice, because chances are that if you are an adult, then you are just going to be super bored. At least I am. I don't really enjoy cartoons or stuff like that. So I'd say choose something that is interesting for you. When I was 13 or 14, that was the age when I started being very interested in makeup. So I guess you could say that the reason why I speak English today is thanks to 2015, 2016 beauty gurus on YouTube, which is kind of funny, but that's the truth. Like, they taught me English. And watching things you genuinely love has so many benefits. First of all, you stay engaged. You learn words that are relevant to your life, to your hobbies, your passions, your work. And you also naturally pick up how people speak. So the rhythm of the language, the tone, even sarcasm, jokes, filler words, things that textbooks never teach. Obviously, you should not overuse filler words, but it's good to know them. The one thing I recommend when you are just starting out with this method is subtitles. Nowadays, they are even available on YouTube, but especially if you are watching on Netflix or any other streaming platform, it should not be a problem. You should use subtitles in the right order. So what I would recommend is start with watching something in your target language, with subtitles in a language you know. So either your native language or English or other language that you are fluent in. Maybe give it a few weeks and then slowly transition to watching in your target language with subtitles in your target language. Again, give it a few weeks and then transition slowly to watching without subtitles. I'm working with a little girl right now who really wanted to become fluent in English, and that's what I suggested to her. So she started watching everything in English with subtitles in Polish. And then after a few weeks, she switched to subtitles in English, and right now she's watching without subtitles. And when I asked her recently how it was going, she told me that she was able to understand everything. That's just amazing. She's 10 and she can already understand a whole movie in English. Okay, so you've made that mindset shift. You are surrounding yourself with your target language. Now it's time to actually start using the language. If you are writing a grocery list, for example, write it in your target language. If you journal every single morning, then try journaling in your target language. Even if you cannot form that many sentences or you don't know how to say something, you can make mistakes, it's fine. And there are so many ways you can do this. You can literally substitute anything you do in your native language with doing that same thing in your target language. So if you want to look up a recipe, let's say, then look it up in your target language. Or what else? Even if you are thinking something to yourself, try to say that in your target language. The more you make your target language your default, the more natural it will become. I feel like I'm saying the word target language over and over again. But anyway, you will be surprised at how fast your brain adapts. Now we want to make the transition from passive skills to active skills. You have probably heard this phrase many times before. I can understand everything, but I cannot actually speak the language. And this is the case for so many learners at the intermediate level, myself included. I am learning Russian and Spanish at the moment, and I am intermediate in both. My understanding, especially in Spanish, is very good. The same in Russian, actually. When it comes to forming more complex sentences or talking about more complex topics, I don't know how to do it, even though if someone were to tell me about that topic, I would probably understand everything, but I just cannot form my own sentences, right? The thing is, there are two types of vocabulary. There's passive vocab, so the words that you understand when you read or listen, and then there's active vocab, the words that you use when you have a conversation or when you write yourself. And for most people at the intermediate level, their passive vocab is way bigger than their active vocab. We don't want to learn new words, we want to activate the ones we already know. There are two ways to do that, speaking and writing. Let's break them down. Let's start with speaking, because speaking is the thing that usually scares people the most. And I get it, because when you speak, there's no time to think. You cannot just go back and correct something. There's also this fear of being judged. So it's completely natural to feel nervous about speaking. I've actually made a whole video about how to start speaking in a foreign language. I will link it down in the description. So I'm gonna talk about speaking very briefly, and if you want to go in more detail, then you are welcome to check out my other video. But my favorite methods to start speaking are shadowing and recording yourself. And those two methods really helped me when I was learning both English and French, and now Spanish and Russian and Persian and every single language that I've ever tried to learn. And honestly, with speaking, you kind of have to push through the awkward phase. There is unfortunately no shortcut, but the good news is that it gets easier a lot faster than you think. Now let's talk about writing, because writing is such an underrated tool for language learning. And it's great if you want to work on your active skills, but you are a bit too intimidated to start speaking right now. It gives you more time to think, to play around with words, to go back and correct yourself. So a few easy ways to practice writing are journaling. I love journaling. And you don't have to write like a whole page in your target language. It can literally be a short paragraph about your day or the things that you are grateful for, or even your goals for the day, your to-do list, whatever. If you watch a movie or if you read a book, then you can write a short summary or a review. The thing is, it doesn't have to be long. You don't have to write a whole academic paper at the beginning. Start with a few sentences, because even then you are forcing your brain to take that passive vocab and make it active. Okay, and last but not least, my personal favorite, reading. Reading in a foreign language might actually be the thing that will take you from intermediate to fluent. If you want to get to that C1, C2 level where you understand nuance, beautiful phrasing, more sophisticated language, then reading is how you get there. Why? Because the vocab and sentence structures that you find in books or articles are so different to what you hear in everyday speech. How often do you hear people say words like mesmerizing, palpable, impeccable, tedious, meticulous? And those words aren't even rare. They just exist mostly in books and in articles. hardly anyone uses them in everyday conversations. So if you want to learn new, more advanced, more sophisticated vocab, especially adjectives, and you want to absorb natural grammar and phrasing, then reading is the way to go. I've also made a separate video about reading in a foreign language, so you are welcome to check it out. I will again link it in the description, and I go much more in detail in that video. But basically, don't feel pressured to read classic novels or something that is super difficult. Read something that you are interested in. If it's in your target language and you care about the topic, then you will absorb so much without even realizing it. Travel blogs or tech articles or business articles, science stuff, anything that interests you. But don't translate every word you don't know, because it breaks the flow and it slows you down massively. Instead, try understanding from context. If you see a word pop up many times, then you can look it up. That's the rule that I kind of set for myself. If I see a word a lot, then I know that it's important and then I look it up. But other than that, I mostly just read and try to understand from context. And if I don't understand every single thing, then that's fine. I still absorb and learn so much. All right, so that's it for today's video. I really hope you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments what language you are currently learning and which method you are going to try first. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.